All right, here we go, guys. Sunday afternoon here, a little bit after 8. And I'm going to hurry it up because I've got to go watch my schizophrenic Bears play this game tonight, Sunday Night Football. But I am doing a meet recap from yesterday's second annual USPA Iron Asylum Classic. If you guys came out, I mean, we had tons of people, a couple hundred that came out, and it was phenomenal. We had, I believe, 105 registered. And with these meets, we typically will see somewhere like a 90 to 92% turnout. So we were expecting anywhere between 90 to 95 lifters. Something happened. I don't know if it was just injuries, the winter season or whatever, but we ended up having 77, which, obviously expedites a meet. So it was pretty quick. It started right at 9, ended at about 3, cleanup, awards, everything was done by 4:35 o'clock time frame, and we had the gym open. So first and foremost, as you guys know, I'm a meet director for USAPL, so I do those two meets. Johnny Lane, phenomenal meet director for USPA. I think he said he does like 40 a year. Him and his crew, phenomenal job, guys. I know a couple of the referees came from North Carolina, Ohio, just different areas. So, big shout out to them. Big shout out to all the spotters and loaders. Again, I say this almost every time with every meet recap. Big shout out to the lifters, of course. As dedicated as you guys are to your training cycles and dedication to the lifting in the gym, you have got to give a big round of applause for everybody because it really takes a whole village to get these things going. I know a lot of people don't see the behind the scenes things, but obviously spotters are there. They are, I like to say, well, even though they're a paid position, they are volunteering, a Saturday to come hang out with you guys to help you, do the best you can on your platform, ensure your safety. It's a hell of a job that they do. It's not big money that they're making. Johnny does a great job in compensating them. They get a free entry to a future meet. I believe is $100 for a full meet spotter loader, and then we got some lunch. Biggest shout out to Swole Foods. They're the ones that provided the lunch and the sliders. If you guys are wanting to check them out, they do a lot of pop-ups at the local breweries, events. So their websites, or hit them up on Facebook, Swole Food, and that's SWOL Food. They've got a restaurant called Oishi Burger. But back to the meet here. It's pretty phenomenal. I posted a quick little thing earlier. And if you guys hear the kids in the background or the dog in the background, as you guys can see, I am from the home office. Big shout out to Lyft. If you guys know Jake and his company have got some great fitness apparel. So check them out. Part of the Lyft Club. But I made a post yesterday. It's always phenomenal. I support small business. I always love to see the local camaraderie amongst the strength shops and the gyms and things like that. But I know we had big representation from Flex. I know they rolled in deep. I don't know how many lifters you guys had. Even though I wasn't directing guys, obviously being the host gym, I had a million other things going on. But some of the gyms that I'd like to shout out, Flex Gym, they came in deep. Project 6 Killer, you guys came in deep. I saw a couple shirts and hoodies from VB Iron, Iron Jungle. I don't know you guys, but I know you guys had a crew there. They're up in Newport News. Obviously, Brute Strength out in Norfolk. Drew with Total Access. Had a couple athletes competing. I'm trying to think of some other local gyms. I know there are some other shops here that I'm forgetting, so I apologize. But otherwise, again, thanks for the support, guys. Powerlifting is just the key. It's where we started. So if you're interested in getting to know the sport, wanting to compete, one thing I do want to point out is there's a significant difference, meet day performance, preparation, and experience. A lot of the lifters that came up to me, talked to me, oh man, it wasn't the greatest meet, 4 for 9, 5 for 9, 6 for 9 is kind of like that border goal that you want to go for. 7 for 9 is a good day, 8 for 9, phenomenal, 9 for 9, obviously, perfect execution. But the biggest difference that I saw with a lot of the novices to the well-experienced, the ones that had a decent day or a bad day to a great day, was coaching, guys. Make sure, even on your first meet, your first meet's main goal is strictly for the experience. And I say this all the time. You're not going out there smashing all the records unless you're a freak that's just been hiding. But a lot of people always want to compare themselves to everybody else. You don't need to do that. When you're elite, you'll know. Um, excuse me. But the big thing is, guys, look at getting a coach or get into a proper gym and a training group. Obviously, with the Iron Asylum, I've got to 11 great coaches. I want to say at least half of them have got powerlifting meet experience. Some all the way to the international highest level, of course, Sam Calhoun. We've got Kai, who is a former Virginia or may still hold some state records. He's got tons of experience. And even some of our staff. Um, and I don't want to not shout anybody out because we've got a trainer roster of about 11, and I'm trying to think of a million other things, guys. But the point of it all is get some proper coaching. It could be remote, it could be in person. But obviously, if you want to get in person coaching, that has a big benefit over remote programming and coaching, and that's because getting a set of eyes on you, hitting the cues, this and that is a big advantage. What else here? So I dropped a question just a couple hours ago, so I didn't get too many questions. Tell me some topics you want me to talk about regarding this meet day or the meet recap. One of them was, can we go over the top 5 lifters? I'm going to go over the top 4 actually, because I went through the results. If you guys haven't gotten that yet, then shoot me a DM. It should be posted on USPA East website. Johnny sent those out, I think, yesterday, so that shows you how phenomenal and efficient he is as well. All right, so some of the questions was, can we get a monitor in the warm-up room? Some meets have them, some don't. Depends on the director, depends on their setups. But that's something I'll pass on to Johnny. That is a big advantage, obviously, if you've got something like that. But otherwise, one of the comments was it was a well-run meet. We do hope everybody had a great time. Like I said again, I'm gonna reiterate this all the time. If you guys had any idea of what these things take to run, it is preparation months and months in advance, getting commitments. Like this one was a 2-platform meet, right? So if you guys took a look around, it was Johnny, he was there. And there must have been 8 or 9 referees, and that's because you need 3 on each platform, which immediately is 6, 2 expediters, 2 scorekeepers. So that's actually at least 10 people that are in paid positions that are flying or driving hours. I know a couple of them drove, between, I want to say like 2 to 5 hours. A couple of them flew in, guys. So if you guys understand this commitment, and most of these guys are doing this strictly for the passion. They are competitive powerlifters themselves. I met a couple of them. They're gym owners. So you guys better make sure you appreciate them 100%. We understand, you're focused and zoomed in, but nothing tickles my fancy more when you see a lifter appreciative, shaking hands with their refs after their 9th lift or their final deadlift, and just giving them a pat on the back, guys. It goes a long way, and that way these refs, volunteers realize, man, I made somebody's day. I helped them, through their 12 or 16 week prep or whatever it might have been. Another comment was people need to respect the gyms. The place was a mess after. Yes, it was. Some meets again, I don't want to say a headache, but there are headaches, obviously, being the host gym and a meet director, guys. You get people from all walks of life, all different types of gyms that are just accustomed to doing things at their gym that they think can fly here. It is literally, I want to say, I think the team had to dump about 12 bags of trash. Does that sound like a lot? No, but I mean, it's going around collecting all of the bottles, the numerous spills. It's a complete gym cleanup, guys. We had a staff of 4, and the volunteers were there. And a couple of the volunteers stuck around until about 6 for cleanup, and I had a staff of 4 of us until 6, including myself. And it is nonstop cleanup for about 2 or 3 hours after. But some of the things that, as a host gym that you run into is a lot of the guys know this, but there was a plumbing issue, the urinal, and it almost happens all the time. There's clogs, so, we've got somebody there round the clock making sure it's not going to overflow. You got to realize, you get 200-300 guys that use the bathroom within a couple hours, it's going to happen. But the urinal broke and it was just running water. So I had to call my boy Dave Stodd. He sent out his guy and came fixed it on an emergency plumber call. So I'll wait for that bill. These are the intangibles that a lot of people don't see. So I'm going to wait for that. What else? Some damage, plates. People throw the plates around all the time. I've got numerous marks on our wall from the bumper plates that were placed against it, numerous marks and scratches. And if you guys, Kempsville, this was the first time we hosted one or first USPA meet that we're hosting at Kempsville. So many people are used to just dumping their, we've got steel plates, metal plates against the rack. Every rack has got new marks, new nicks, new scratches. It's a cost of doing business. Everybody's like, yeah, but you make so much money. But I can tell you again, just like these judges and refs and everything, guys, we don't do it strictly for the money. I'm sure some facilities do, but there's not a ton to be made. I've got a spreadsheet of my last meet. The gross revenue, most of these meets is going to be somewhere between $8,000 and $10,000. If you guys have any idea about self-employment, I think the average tax bracket that most self-employed people, including myself or Johnny or anybody else and Johnny's got a CrossFit gym, we could be anywhere between the 20 to 30% bracket. I think the national average is about 20%. But, if you look at like a 10, everybody's like, okay, go on the high end, $100, 100 lifters, $10,000. You're immediately going to pay tax on 20% of it. So that's $8,000. You probably pay out about, this one wasn't drug tested, so no drug test there. But I know my last meet I paid out about $6,000 and the revenue was like $8,800. So it was like $2,800 that you make, which again is not a phenomenal amount. Don't get me wrong, that's a good amount of money. But for all the work for the months up to the event that it takes, all of the emails you're having to respond to, the phone calls, this and that, and then the items that you've got to repair and pay for, there's not a ton of money there. And I gotta apologize. I just lost my train of thought. I can't remember my point going into that. Oh, it was about respecting the gym, guys. Certain things go missing. I've got to shut the gym down. Obviously for almost a whole day. We miss potential signups. We average at each location about 3 to 5 signups a day. The hope is that they went to our other location or that they waited until after. Not that they went to a competitor or anything like that. So there's a potential loss of business there as well. But that's all on the meat stuff. I always like to point that out, guys, just so you guys are fully aware of the commitment that any meat director, no matter what federation they're in, that they sign up for. Because it's a crap load of work. And obviously the equipment. Johnny's got a trailer. He had to drive. I don't know how long his drive is, but I think it's somewhere around 6 hours with this trailer. He's away from his family, his own business. It's tiring. All right, back to the meet, guys. It was freaking phenomenal. I went into this thing going, all right, yeah, I get to spectate one. I think we had everything set up, and then, like I said, a couple emergencies come up. If you guys realize or remember, Walmart actually, they're our neighbor, and we try to keep a great relationship with their surrounding businesses. But we took a lot of their parking, and I fielded many phone calls that day or yesterday. One from our property manager, one from the manager. They sent over 2 employees, and I'm like, what do you guys want us to do? I can't control parking. So look out for those emails, guys. It's always helpful when we show where you can park and where not to park. So that drawing that I sent over to the lifters, I hope you guys pass that out to all your family and friends. Didn't want you guys parking in the first few rows of Walmart, and that way they could have their business going. And then hopefully you guys went around to the other local businesses and supported them. Bought some food and some coffees and things like that. All right, let's get back to the lifting. The energy was phenomenal, guys. That's the great thing about these powerlifting things. They are an individual sport, but for some reason, and you're obviously always gunning to win when you want to, or when you think you've got a chance. But the reality is you're always just fighting against yourself, right? To perform to the best of your capabilities. But man, if you guys have never competed, the camaraderie that is always developed behind the scenes. I've gotten tagged in several posts and videos where they're like, oh man, it was my first meet. So glad to have met some new awesome friends, blah, blah, blah. We appreciate it. Or, I went into this without any coaching, or my coach couldn't make it and couldn't handle me. So I want to shout this person out and that person out for, spending some time helping me out, calming my nerves. That's the great thing about this sport. So to anybody that lent a hand, big shout out to you. You guys keep that kind of attitude up with helping your fellow lifter. All right, so let's get into. So again, this was a USPA non-drug tested meats here, guys, and they're I believe, and I gotta apologize because Johnny handles the USPA meats in our areas. I'm not as well versed with them, but I know there was a classic and a raw or classic raw division. Classic raw being where you could wear wraps, knee wraps, versus just sleeves. And USPA still utilizes the Wilks algorithm or formulation to define the best lifter. So I got a question earlier about the top 5 lifters. What I'm going to do is go over the top 2 females and then top men's in each respective category. It's pretty dope because when I look at this list, 3 of the 4 are members at Iron Asylum, and that leads me to believe, and just like any other gym, guys, if you really want to get stronger, get into a strength gym. The commercial gyms, obviously, you know, there are some monsters and beasts inside of them, but you got to get into an environment that's conducive to powerlifting and competing. That way, you know what to expect, unless, you know, the commercial gym is the only option that you've got. All right. So women, our very own, she is a team member, staff member, a freak as well. K Swole Web. Check out her apparel company, guys, Keiko. She ended up with a 434 Wilks, guys. Anything above a 400 Wilks is pretty elite. Anything above 500 is super elite. So 434 Wilks. She was an 82.5 kilo class, which is 182 pounds, or right a shade under 182 pounds, I believe. She ended up with a 472.5 kilo total, which is 1,041. So she was the top best female lifter. Let me pull something up here, guys. I've got to double check one of the weight classes before I continue on. Yeah, and she actually weighed in a little bit light, 79.3 kilos. So I mean, geez, she was what is that, 6 or 7 pounds. If I could math right, yeah, in 6 or 7 pounds under the limit. Obviously, with the 24-hour weigh-in, I'm going to assume Kay didn't have to cut any weight. So, you know, she was very light for her weight class. So, good job, Kay. Awesome, phenomenal. If you guys train at either location, you guys have probably seen her and have felt her energy. Kay's got some insane energy when she lifts. The other female, Holly Bradenthal. I hope I didn't butcher that too much. If you guys have seen her lifting, she's a phenomenal lifter as well. She ended up with the 426 Wilks. She was in the 75 kilo class, which is 165 pounds, or right under that, I think, or right there. She ended up with 447.5 kilos, 986.5 pounds. Phenomenal. She will, no doubt in my mind, probably be breaking that 1,000 pound total here very soon. And the men's classic raw division, again, this is with knee wraps. Kevin Dickhut, if you guys know him, he's been in the game a long time. Trains over at Brute Strength with 4 Horsemen and Stella. Excuse me. 494 Wilks. He was in the 110 kilo class, 242 pounds. Ended up with the 830 kilo total, which is 1,829. So that is a huge number. I think he came in pretty light too. 105.7 kilos. So that is super light. Doesn't look like he made a cut either. So that's like 8 or 9 pounds under the weight limit. So heck of a job there. And then men's best overall raw lifter, Mr. David Blackstock. He is a Iron Asylum member as well, part of that ODU dog pound team. So that's where you guys hear a lot of that barking. 508 Wilks, phenomenal meat. He was in a 100 kilo weight class, 220 pounds. He ended up with a 835 kilo total for a whopping 1,840 pound total. So otherwise, you know, phenomenal lifting, guys. There were some big numbers there, you know, 600 pound plus squat, 700 pound deadlifts, near 500 pound bench presses. And obviously I didn't catch everything, dealing with a lot of the hustle and bustle of hosting the meet, guys. But otherwise, hope you guys had a phenomenal time. I did as a spectator for most of the part. Again, we had a ton of people that came through. If you guys want to get into the next meet, we've got a USAPL one coming up in January. That's going to be our smaller meet that we have. You know, a lot of people don't want to have to train intense or diet down their or dial in their nutrition during the holidays. A lot of stress factors already outstanding there with the holidays and the weather and hustle and bustle there. But check it out if you guys want to get into one, Novices to the Elite. That is a good one to get into. You can find it on our website, theironasylum.com. And then after that, we'll have a strongman event in April. We'll have our Battle of the Beach. Now that's a big one all the time in June. And so on and so on. Maybe we'll talk to Johnny and get another USPA one here. I think Six Killer and Flex is having Odin's Fury. That I think that's in March or April. I know that's in the springtime. So check out their respective sites or pages for that. But if you're looking at training, hit us up on the Instagram, in the DMs on Instagram or on our website again. There's an inquiry form there. It's got our pricing questionnaire in regards to personal training, or you could hit us up on Facebook. Just search the Iron Asylum. Otherwise, guys, powerlifting community in the Hampton Roads area is still, I think, phenomenal at its continuous growth is occurring in those feds, maybe in all feds. I just know that these are the two that I follow closest. So keep at it, guys. Keep getting stronger. It doesn't matter what age or experience level you're at. We want to see you on the platform. See you guys soon.